טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יאללה הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יאללה, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Can you hear me okay? It's all right?
Doesn't sound like it. Is it on?
So welcome everybody. I'm so glad we can be together. I'm Rabbi Kavod Weider, and together with Cantor Natalie Young, we're going to be your guides for this evening's Shabbat experience. And just before we get started, just a few little logistics. If you're new to Temple Bethel, welcome. And if at any point in the service you need to get a drink of water or use the restroom, you go out to the top of the stairs and take a right and can head down there. There's a water fountain on the way and a restroom. Please make sure that cell phones are silenced so that we can really have a space free from distractions for ourselves and for others. And please, we try to keep a culture of safety at Temple Bethel, so if you see something that is a little suspicious or off, please say something. Let us know. We take care of each other. And of course, I also really appreciate, please keep masks on. I know it's a little bit of a drag. It is our policy. And it's because, whether we're vaccinated or not vaccinated, we're in a world right now with this new Delta variant that can spread. And so we just take care of each other and help boost morale by doing it. So thank you for that. Shabbat is called by our sages Me'ein ha'olam haba, a taste of the world to come, or the world that is coming. And it's kind of like the idea that in the messianic time, or in a time in the future when human beings have evolved, our consciousness has evolved to such a degree that we are alive and present to God's presence. We feel and know our inherent connection with each other and all of life. The rabbis envision this time when we will get there. And Shabbat, being called a taste of that, invites us to imagine, to use our imagination to what would it be like to taste that way of seeing the world. Take a moment. Just if you'd like to close your eyes or just kind of look down for a moment and just imagine what would it be like to look out at the world and see connection everywhere. To be able to feel so at home and so connected with all of life, to see and feel the vibrancy of life, of presence shining through everything. This reality, this awareness, is possible for each one of us at any moment. And Shabbat becomes that moment where we tap into a taste of that. Why? Because it reminds us of who we really are. Because it is an experience of wholeness, of shalom. It allows everything to let go and to realize that we are with each other and we are connected. And then when Shabbat ends tomorrow evening at Havdalah time, we can recommit again to work towards a world in whatever our lives are, whether we're students, whether we're professionals, whether we're parents, but in all of our little ways to work towards a world that is a little bit closer to that place of kindness, of justice, of connection. If we don't take the time to taste it, we can get lost in the mess of the news, the mess of everything that we're in. So this evening is that opportunity to taste a little bit of the world that is coming. Before we continue in our service, I want to invite you to get to connect with one another, to be able to turn to the person next to you, masked, wish Shabbat Shalom, respect people's personal space or boundary, but maybe share one thing about your week that tasted good. Yeah, I didn't think it was loud enough. Okay, thank you.
Shabbat המלכה, הנה יורדת הקדושה הברוכה, ועימה מלאכים צבא שלום ומנוחה. בואי בואי המלכה, בואי
my pleasure, maybe a little louder, Micah. It is my pleasure to welcome up the Selvin family to lead us in the welcoming of Shabbat through the lighting of candles. A little bit less. There we go. You guys can come up to this side right here, and there's the candles. I want to invite everybody to stand as we greet Shabbat by lighting candles. And one of the things that the rabbis teach is that we use flame to bring in Shabbat because it's a way of fixing the eyes. Every Jewish ritual is focused on fixing a part of the body, right? Like Passover is about talking a lot, right? Telling the story, that's about fixing the mouth. Shabbat is about fixing the eyes. How do we see each other? How do we see the world? Do we see the goodness in each other? Do we see the cup as half full instead of half empty? That's our opportunity. So, in honor of Noah's bar mitzvah, June, would you?
I'm assuming it's this. There we go.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen.
Amen. Usher, go up.
Please be seated. I appreciate very much that we are constantly a work in progress, including our sound system. Micah, this is a little hot right now.
Just a little.
Just a little hot. That's how we like it. A real blessing to be able to be gathered here as community. So many of us haven't seen each other in a long time. Brings a little bit of tears to my eyes to see everyone. As we go through the service, I really want to encourage you to find ways to add your spirit, add your voice, to let go of your week and let Shabbat in. So just a moment ago, we got to be the malachim, we got to be the angels to welcome one another and really help set intentions and help each other create the sacred space together. And we move from that moment of welcoming each other to welcoming in the Shabbat bride with Lecha Dodi.
Page 18 in your prayer book.
Well, we have so many different melodies that people are familiar with. Tonight, I am happy to be sharing this beautiful Sephardic melody, which we did a few times throughout our Zoom services. All kinds of opportunities for participation. So if you don't know it with the first verse, you'll know it with the second verse, and please join on in.
Lecha dodi likakala, Shabbat lecha bela, lecha dodi likakala, Shabbat lecha bela. Go
Noah, if you'd come up to help us with something. I want to just say that I'm aware that some of us are here maybe with heavy hearts because we're thinking about a loved one who's passed, yard site or a shloshim. And to you, I say, Hamakom Yinachem Etchem. May the Holy One comfort you and be able to feel the space of community and connection and God's presence as we all hold each other. The Chatzi Kaddish is on page 22.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah
Amen.
Be'alma divra chirute v'yamli malchute b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol be'Yisrael bagala uv'izman kariv v'yimeru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ul'almei almaya yitbarach v'yishtaba v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha berichu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'yimeru amen.
Please stand for the Baruch Hu.
Another sweet singer of Israel.
You may be seated. We're on page 26, God of Creation. Want to welcome up Debbie Grinikoff to share a prayer with her in honor of her birthday in just a little bit.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher yitbaro ba'nim v'navim v'chokhmah v'tiach shamayim. God of creation,
feeling loved. Hold on to your belief in love and know that you are loved by an endless love that flows through you to your children and to all beings and forms of life. Trust in the loving presence that waits for your heart to open. You have so much. Release old demands and preconceived ideas of what you need. Don't allow expectations to blind you to the gifts in your life right now. You don't need to roll a rock uphill or cross the Jordan. Know that you have love in your life and come home to your heart. Amen.
Thank you. One of the great privileges I have as the cantor is working with our ECC, our early childhood kids. And we've been talking a little bit about Shema. And typically it's translated as, "Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one." But what is hearing? And in this day and age where very often we struggle to hear one another, I want to invite us to think of Shema, about paying attention. How do we pay attention to one another so that we can invite in God's presence and see that spark of the divine within each of us, paying attention with our body, paying attention with our heart, paying attention, looking people in the eyes. So I'd like to teach you guys some sign language for Shema tonight. Begins like this. For Shema, paying attention. Shema. Let's try that together. Shema. Shema. With your pinky across your chin for Yisrael, and we're going to bring the people of Israel together. Yisrael. Let's go back to Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. One more time with me. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Beautiful.
Ve'ahavta is on page 31.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anohi mitzaveha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha vidibarta bam vishivtecha v'veitecha uvleftecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beineinecha Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tiskeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai v'yatem kedoshim leloehem ani Adonai Elohehem, Asher Hotzeiti Ethem Mieretz Mitzrayim, Lehiot Lachem Lelohim, Ani Adonai Elohehem.
We're going to continue our service with Mi Chamocha, which we can find on page 37. And there is a bit of a disturbance in the force over here that's a little bit distracting. So if you want to chit-chat or have conversations, guys, please, you can take a break and take it outside to talk. That would be great. Thank you. Mi Chamocha. Page 39, Hashkivenu. It's the third line on the page.
Ufros aleinu sukkah shelomecha ufros aleinu Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
Amen. In the Vishamru prayer on page 41, there Shabbat is referred to as an ot hi leolam, a sign of eternity. A sign of eternity. That if we are really tapping into the essence of Shabbat, we lose track of time, of the clock, and everything just drops away, and we're in the eternal present. It's almost as if you imagine that infinity is going in every direction. There's no end, there's no boundary. Then no matter where we are, we're at the center. We're at the center. And so Shabbat as a sign for eternity is this place where we let go and we're in all places, past, present, future, feeling the wholeness and the presence of creation.
Shabbat השמיים ואת הארץ
ושמרו בני ישראל
את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם בדורתם ויום השביעי שבת וינפש שבת וינפש שבת
In a moment, we are going to engage the Amidah prayer, which is really the central part of every Jewish prayer service. And in the time of the Mishnah, which was first century, the prayer was for the most part spontaneous. Until after the destruction of the temple, the rabbis crafted themes, prayer themes. When you begin, you need to call in your ancestors. Then for the second part, the second theme, you want to open up to God's power, to how God heals the sick and lifts up the fallen. And the third theme is holiness, and so on. And the prayer leader would actually improv, kind of like a jazz musician, on the themes. They would come up with their own prayer in front of the rest of the congregation, and it would be different every time, but they would stay with a theme, and they would conclude with the blessing, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, or something like that. So in our Amidah prayer, in a moment, we're going to have the opportunity, we'll do the first three blessings out loud, the first three themes, and then the remaining four you'll be able to pray on your own. And what I want to invite you to do is look at the prayer. You can pray the traditional prayer. You can look at the words. You can read those words. But you can also try to get an essence of what is the theme here. And what do I have to say about it? What is something that's true about that theme for me in my life? And like the rabbis of old, you have the opportunity to try to find what's my words here? What's my voice here? And how does it mingle with the voices of our tradition? So the opening kavanah, or intention, is we're going to take Achat Sha'alti. This is part of the Psalms that we do during Elul, this month before Rosh Hashanah. And we basically say, one thing I ask for, one thing I pray, is to be in God's presence all the days of my life. So I want to invite you to stand as we're getting ready for the Amidah. And this part is not in your prayer book. You can just listen, hear the words.
Achat sha'alti beit Adonai, Achat sha'alti otah vakesh, shivti beveit Adonai, shivti כל ימי חיי לחסות בנועם אדוני. אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני, אחת שאלתי אותה אבקש.
We're on page 45. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Geula Lifnei V'neihem, Le'ma'an Shmo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye Hakol, Atah Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofech Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishanei Afar, Micha Mocha Bal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atah Lechayot Hakol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechaye Hakol, Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, Ukdoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. You can continue silently until Shalom Rav for peace.
תשים
Shabbat Shalom. In this month before Rosh Hashanah, our tradition asks us to turn our attention inside to our thoughts, our behavior, our inner reality, and how the choices we make and the world we impact come from this inner place. We can't afford to wait until the High Holy Days to begin this process, that somehow the majesty of the day and the music and the prayers together in community will affect the transformation that's going to put us on a better course. It's the same way that we don't expect to spend a full day at the gym after not setting foot in it all year and all of a sudden reach our fitness goals. The gym only works when we engage in it regularly with commitment, with skill, and with effort. Our preparation in this month of Elul is what will allow our High Holy Day experience to be truly meaningful, impactful, and even transformative, and set us on course for the year that is a step closer to living the life that we want to live and be the person that we want to be. In this week's Torah portion, Parshat Shoftim, we get some suggestions on how to do this inner preparation. Before Israel goes off to war, the Torah tells us that the officers of the army must address the people and tell them the following. Who is the man who has built a new house but has not yet inhabited it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in war and another man inhabit his house. Who is the man who has planted a vineyard and has not harvested it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in war and another man harvest it. Who is the man who has been betrothed to a woman but has not yet taken her to wife? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in war and another man take her. In all of these instructions or examples, war drives home the possibility of death, and Israel is bidden not to leave anything incomplete. Why? Because if a soldier goes into war and has things outstanding in his mind, things that are incomplete, he has what the rabbis call a treif da'at, or a torn mind, a mind that is pulled in various directions. A soldier with this kind of mind would not be able to fully focus on the task at hand and might even be a danger to his fellow soldiers. He's not able to be all in with the life or death battle that he's engaged in because his mind may be somewhere else. The repetition of the phrase, lest he die, is crucial to understanding the importance of not leaving things incomplete. When a person is on his deathbed, it becomes incredibly important for the person and his or her loved ones to find completion. On the mundane level, if arrangements are not made around the funeral or finances, it can create conflict among the family members left behind around how things should be handled. On the emotional level, if important words are not said, hurts forgiven, or conflicts resolved, it may be difficult for the dying person to let go, or for the loved ones left behind to process the difficult emotions and regrets for what was left incomplete. While it may seem obvious that we want to finish business and not leave loose ends when death is front and center in our minds, the reality, unfortunately, is that death is always front and center, whether we choose to acknowledge it or not. Life-threatening illness, car accidents, sudden tragedies are always possible and always present for each one of us, even if we don't see it. Death is always around the corner, and our High Holy Day period tries to drive that home, whether in the words of Unatana Tokef, who will live and who will die, the Yizkor memorial service, or the fact that we wear white on Yom Kippur, symbolizing burial shrouds. A central theme of the High Holy Days is that life is fragile and every day counts. We don't realize how leaving things incomplete in our lives creates a treif da'at, a torn mind, that we don't move forward with full presence and intention on what we want to create when our mind is pulled in many places. This month of Elul, we have the opportunity to address this by asking ourselves, what are the loose ends in my life? How is my mind torn? Where are the places my mind keeps wanting to go? What is the unfinished business in my life? What have I left undone? When we look out at the world through a torn mind, our experience of the world is torn. And that doesn't even touch on the fact that none of us know whether we're going to make it this coming year. That's the message of the High Holy Days. So what do we want to leave behind? We start with that now. In some cases, we might decide that it's just time to let go, to recognize that we are distracted by something that will never be completed, and in some cases, we might decide that the only cure is completion, and that there's nothing for it but to tie up the loose end. No way to keep our energy and focus from constantly draining away at the present moment, except to finish that which remains unfinished. Life is impossibly complex. Many of us are like jugglers with too many balls in the air. Taking a clear look at our lives, we might simply decide that we can't possibly complete all the unfinished business that we've set in motion. Finally coming home at 9 or 10 at night from a day at work that begins at 6 a.m., our mind torn to shreds by the thought of all the phone calls we had never had time to return, the tasks we couldn't complete, we might realize that we can't be the person we want to be in this reality. We have to let something go. So when we are taking this spiritual inventory, one of the things we might decide is that we need to simplify our lives. We just have to do fewer things. We have to tell our bosses, our family, look, there's too much on my plate. I'm treif da'at. I'm unfocused. I'm torn. The energy of that undedicated house, that harvested vineyard, that unconsummated marriage, that relationship that needs attention, that book I haven't written, that conversation that needs to be had. All that energy is tearing my mind, pulling my focus in 100 directions, leaving me not much good for anything. So in our Cheshbon HaNefesh, our spiritual accounting this month, we have the opportunity to make some decisions. What will we complete and what will we let go? And the preparation, this preparation, will allow us to approach the holidays with a yeshuv hada'at, a settled mind, one that sees the moment, ourselves, and our loved ones much more clearly. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We have a moment of coming together as community in healing, in an intention for healing for loved ones who are fighting illness, whether that's physical illness, mental illness, or addiction, or even a lack of purpose and direction. We can bring healing to our loved ones. So before we start the prayer, which is going to be on page 63 in your prayer book, just want to go around and invite people to say the names. You can do it kind of all at once of loved ones that you'd like to bring some healing energy to. Rivka Bat Michaya. We're in the middle of the page. Lots happening in our temple community as we are getting towards the High Holy Days. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., right here in the sanctuary, we celebrate the bar mitzvah of Noah Selvin. You heard that incredible leading of prayer. There's going to be more of that tomorrow. We're also going to begin first time in person in our chapel on the ground floor. Our conservative service will begin at 9:15 and go until about noon. And then in the coming week, please know that we have our weekly healing service from 6:30 to 7, our Refuat HaNefesh service, which is an opportunity to say Kaddish or prayers for healing. That's on Zoom, and all the information is on the website. And then next Friday is our first in-person Soul Spark Shabbat since the pandemic has started, which is a very deep and special meditatively oriented service. We invite you to come to that. And we want you to get involved, as we're continuing to open up and able to do more activities together. You can explore new ways of getting involved, whether it's taking a class or volunteering or joining a personal interest group. We're going to talk more about small groups at High Holy Days and have our new year of small groups that you can sign up in after the holidays. So you can look at the website. Any board members, do you mind just standing up for a moment so that we can just see who you are? We have two board members here tonight, Tamara and Amy. And if you have questions, anything about getting involved, you can ask them or myself after the service. Thank you, guys. And the other thing that is really exciting this week, a week from Sunday, we are having here at Temple Bethel, indoor with ventilation and HEPA purifiers and completely masked, we are being able to host the Klezmatics, which is a world-famous, internationally known klezmer band. Incredibly innovative, creative. I've been listening to them for 25 years. The Jewish Federation is sponsoring them. It's going to be a wonderful community event. It's at 4 p.m. on Sunday. I think that's the 22nd. First come, first serve. There is limited seating. So that's happening. And of course, High Holy Day worship is, at least at this point today, still scheduled to be offered in person and online, completely masked in person. And members in good standing and ticket purchasers will receive tickets to attend in person and online the week prior to Rosh Hashanah. So you can go to the website, to the High Holy Day Square, and share all your High Holy Day information. Okay, It's a lot.
Tamara.
Did you mention, that people should register even though there's no cost for the cosmetics, that they will need to pre-register for that?
Good clarification.
Thank
Yes,
you.
that limited seating means that if you don't register, you might not have a seat. So if that's something that you want to experience, I would get on that.
I registered today. It took me 10 seconds.
Okay, wonderful. All right, we are going to conclude the service with Aleinu on page 64. Please stand.
You want to lead it?
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר ראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. You may be seated. Mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 73, and this week has been a week of the anniversary of this week. There has been a lot of loss in our synagogue family. As I say the name of your loved one, if I do, please stand in honor of your connection to them. We're in the Shloshim period, the 30-day period for Bernice Berman, mother of our member Judy Berman, and the Shiva 7-day period for Michael Gubner, father of our member Adam Gubner. We're also commemorating the following yahrzeits: Michael Robert Alterbaum, Edya Arts, Harry Azen, George Bauer, Sigmund Brennesel, Marilyn Brickman, Rose Brown, Esther Cohen, Hyman Cohen, David Cohen, Jacqueline Drexler, Shirley Eisenberg, Faye Freeman, Libby Fremer, Sophie Gang, Jack Jacob Goldman, Charlotte Golkin, Charles Haber, Dorothea Halgarten, Cheryl Harp, Calvin Herskowitz, Elizabeth Hoffmeyer, James Maurice Hyman, Sam Keith, Andrea Elena Krause, Howard Ladine, Marion Goldie Levine, Ruth Lipsky, Shepard Morris, Kenny Mucha, Ruth Nadil, Florence Nachmias, Stephen Olin, Susan Pardo, Leah Perger, Isaac Politis, Doris Press, Erwin Walter Resnick, Lawrence Rogovin, Ruth Roman, Werner Roman, Lorraine Rubenstein, Herbert Schronk, Irene Selgson Rudoffer, Jules Shapiro, Erwin Sherman, Ruth Schulman, Ralph Silverman, Jack Spector, Kitty Sorokin, Samuel Stein, Robert Stern, Alan Monroe Sulkis, Israel Talby, and David Weisenberg. Is there anybody else that we are saying Kaddish for this evening? I'm also saying Kaddish for my father, Leland Weeder. Yeah? Thank you. Please. Thank you. Others? Thank you. You may stand or sit according to your custom for Mourner's Kaddish on page 73. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon v'chayei techol beit Yisrael ba'agalau v'zman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olmei olmaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yitalal shmei dekudisha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'miran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru. Amen. Like to call up, before you sit down, Payson, like to call you up to help us lead our closing song. Payson, in honor of your birthday that we get to celebrate, come on up. And also, we can invite the Selvins up just to the side here for Kiddush and Motzi when we get there. Say shalom, say shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Say shalom, say shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Come on down here, you guys. I'm going to give you this. Do you need a book? Or
Here, right here.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinhilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yom tehillah lemikra'e kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim kivanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinhaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
go ahead and take a drink.
Oh, he's chugging it.
Yes. Ooh, that Manischewitz. And this hall is just for your family.
Okay.
All right.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lehem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat shalom. Nice. Dig in. Nobody else touched it.
There should be Kiddush and motzi on the table outside as you are leaving tonight, so please feel free to take some.
You guys.
Shabbat shalom.
So good to see you. Feel your spirit. You just keep rocking it.
Happy you're here. We saw I knew you were going to be on sabbatical, and I'm like, oh no, it's about to be back, and it worked out perfectly. Did you enjoy? Did you learn and have a good?
I did. It was a whole